Happiness comes from accepting what is, in contrast of pursuing what is not yet. Okay. Next quote. Happiness does not depend on anything except what is real and really available. End quote. Taking it in. Happiness comes from accepting what is in contrast to pursuing what is not yet. It does not depend on anything except what is real and what is really available. As with any quote, we can read it, store it in the back of our brain, or we can write it down, right? So I wrote it down. It does not depend on anything except what is real and what is really available. So think about it. If happiness does not depend on anything that is not real and not readily available, but yet that's what each and every one of us is doing, chasing something that is not real and or not really available to us. And then it's just this cycle, right? Throw in anything: school, parents, relationships, careers, our mentality, sports, fitness, education. It's to be said that what exists outside of our overcomplication and our inflation of what's really real and what's really available to us is where happiness lays. So in that case, you guys, the saying, what is good enough, it makes sense, right? It makes complete sense. And I feel like that is what our issue is. What is good is not good enough anymore. It's so simple, and it seems like it's such a short concept to grasp. And I don't know if all of a sudden it's like, oh, all of a sudden you're having an epiphany. You're like literally sick and tired of the way you've been living your life. Not like we haven't said that every single video, but you know what I mean? Maybe it's actually starting to resonate. Maybe it's really starting to sink in. And maybe when you're on that tip of the iceberg, when you're reading and when you're educating yourself, the little things that you might have read past or skimmed past, they stick out like bold freaking print. Like it's literally like smacking you in your eyelids when you just want to blink or sleep. It's like, no, open yourself back up and read this. If we're focused on what's real and available to us, we wouldn't be focused on a future that we don't have. We could fix the present that we currently have. It's a sad, sad world, you guys, and we all seem helpless, right? Like, I'm literally sitting here at nighttime, I'll watch documentaries on, like, how plastic is eating our ocean, and I cry myself to sleep. Like, it's literally heartbreaking, heart-wrenching. But last night, I came to the epiphany. Like, listen to how funny this is. Listen to how my mind works. I need water so bad. I'll be right back. Fuck. Here she comes, can you hear my glass shaking? Oh my god. It's like, just chill out. We're back with the refresher. Okay. So, diving into the mind of Sarah for like 5 seconds. So I'm watching this documentary last night, and it's just breaking my heart. I'm finding myself crying and my soul aching. I know I may sound like I'm being a drama queen, but I'm not. So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, how the hell are you going to be able to cognitively process what you're listening to if you are so flippin' emotional while you're listening to it? You know, flashback into like a couple videos ago. It's got to be 50-50. Emotional and cognitive are scales. If they're on a 1 to a 10, whatever it's at, they got to be equal. So if our emotions are at a 10, our cognitive skills have to be at a 10. And it clicked in my mind last night. Literally, I had to be in the moment, in the present moment. Yeah, I read about it and I I talk about it and I write notes about it. I think about it, so my brain is always like pondering that thought. But until I was watching that documentary last night, I actually, in the moment, in my emotions, felt my scale go from, oh, emotions are at a 10 and my cognitive scale is literally at a 0 to like a 3. Like, yeah, I'm hearing it, but I'm looking at the dying whales, looking at the plastic obliterating the ocean, and I'm just like, and the information is like in one ear, out the other, just like the plastic circling in the ocean. And I'm thinking to myself, all of a sudden I snap out of it, like I catch my breath, and I'm like, one, you probably don't even know what the narrator has been saying for the last 10 minutes because you've been caught up in your head, in your own mind, in what isn't real, even though it kind of is real because I'm thinking about what I'm seeing on TV, but you know what I mean, I'm in my fantasy, whatever. I'm not really in the moment, in my present moment. I'm not in my moment. I'm thinking to myself like, yo, whoop, whoa, I'm not taking in any information right now. And because of that, I'm not going to be able to walk away with this with, one, any information on my shoulders, two, any maybe thoughts of how I can help the future. Like maybe I could go upstairs and like make a blueprint of how to save the world. Like, you know, I can't do that if I am walking away crying like, oh, you know what I mean? So then it popped into my head. I was like, if you are capable of keeping your cognitive scale semi above your emotional scale, you may be of better benefit to this community. We are very, very empathetic creatures. That's nothing. That is nothing to be ashamed about, baby. But because of that, we find ourselves, one, being able to place ourselves into other people's shoes, and two, finding it really, really hard to be able to sit down and gather our thoughts and think, well, this sucks. What is happening isn't working, so what can we do about it? That is not just in regards to the plastic that's in the ocean. That can be regards into any aspect of our lives. What I feel like can happen, you guys, because I literally kind of wrote down a blueprint of how I can save society. It's just if you guys want to listen to me, you guys don't have to listen to me. You really don't. But here's my thoughts. All right. A question to self / you guys. The saying, what will be, / it is the way it is. It's not just saying forget it. It's not just saying let life take its course, because dude, that's what we've been doing and look what's happening. Maybe it's saying delight is in the world being the way it is, but we destroyed the way it is. Like if you think about it, the way it is simplicity, it's bliss. There's no fighting, there's no war. This is just my opinion. That's the way it is. Before humans came along and plagued this entire planet, those things made sense. What will be, will be. Like, the fruits will keep growing. The abundance of animals will keep going. It is the way it is, and that was what was beautiful. That's what worked. It once worked. So now when we apply the quotes and the sayings that once worked in a world that is not today's reality, a world that isn't available to us anymore, of course our minds are confused, and it's like a juxtaposition. That's the only word that could come to my mind right now. It's like, what the heck? I'm over here trying to tell myself, oh, what will be, will be. But this world is so effed up. Do you kind of get what I'm getting at all? So seriously, that is why we all of us, stand strong, ladies and gentlemen. But I'm flipping serious. We all have to become candlelighters. We all have to take the steps to educate ourselves. We all have to take the time, the energy, the focus, whatever it's going to take, yo. Whatever course of action it's going to take for you. Stepping stones. Baby steps, yo. But we need to be able to keep our cognitive scales at such a beautiful balance, you guys, that like I said, when we are faced with crazy information, it could be, bro, that your boyfriend or girlfriend or mistress or baby mama drama cheated on you. If your cognitive scale is literally on point, if your emotional scale is not like, and your cognitive scale is just like, how am I going to make my life better? What steps do I need to move forward? Right? Think about it. All of us, not just me, bro, I've been trying. It's not working. It's not just gonna take me saying this stuff. It's not just gonna take me feeling this way. It's gonna take each and every one of us, yo. We all gotta become candlelighters. We all gotta educate ourselves. We all gotta go out there and make a difference, because the only people that are making a difference don't have the emotional scale that we have. They have a cognitive skill that's ran by like, ooh, bad energy. We don't want that. All of these good energy people, the empathetic ones of us, right, that are sitting at home like literally wallowing in our own sorrows because the earth is so sad, they need us to get our cognitive scales so high. Card got full. You can't stop this. You can't stop. You cannot stop me. Another thing, here's another thing. All right, this is why, you guys, it is so important for all of us to just sit down with ourselves. We gotta write a lot. You gotta talk to yourself a lot. We gotta sit down. We gotta figure out who we really are, what we really want to do. Like, you know what you really want to do and what will really make you happy. If you have a passion, if you have a career in mind, if you have goals, ambitions, how do we do that? All right, well, we stop taking on fantasy positions. Don't take on my position. Don't try to be me. Don't try to be the girl next door. Don't try to be the boy next door. Don't try to be the cashier at the grocery store. Don't try to be the librarian. Don't try to be the guy who looks at things outside. Be you. Because what happens if you are trying to fulfill or trying to like put on a role or just have the fantasy position in your head, it is fogging your innate mentality, you guys. If you're out here trying to act like everybody else, trying to speak like everybody else, trying to think like everybody else, and we are hurting the little thing that's inside of us, the happiness that we need to penetrate, all of us have it. It's a button inside of us that says happiness. We just don't touch it anymore. We did as kids. We used to poke that stuff all the time. That's why we used to giggle all the time. You know what I mean? We just stopped poking it, and we keep thinking outside somebody's gonna help us, and we lost the secret that nobody else can poke it but us. If we're not fogging our own perceptions with a fantasy or a version of somebody else, that's who we are. That's us. We can actually live in our skin and not others. And when we do that, when we live in our skin, that's when we begin accepting it. And I am telling you that from experience. You will leave the house without makeup when you are okay with living in your own skin. What's good is good enough. Okay? What's real and available to us is where happiness lays. And because we do not accept that, like, that's just reality. That's the other goofy part. It's either accept it or we don't. If we don't accept it, we're going to live on with the same mentality, the same mindset. It's like we're all puffing out the same contagious air and then sucking it all in and then wondering why we all feel the same. We're not happy. What's good isn't good enough. We're not living in our own skin. We're not penetrating the quotes we read all the times. The little quotes that are in doctor's offices, we just look past them. Or like I said, we read them, but our emotional scale is so high because, oh, we're not getting a text back, that our cognitive skill isn't even taking in the messages that are right in front of us. The universe is so flippin' weird, you guys. It will put messages in front of us. It's just if we're going to take the time to look. If we're not careful, if our emotional scale is all whack, if we're living a fantasy life, if we're in a fantasy mindset that's not even ours, if anything, we'll read the message, but then not even read it through the goggles we're meant to read it through. I'm going to end this off with something pretty important in my opinion. And it's another quote. But it's a beautiful quote. So here's the quote. Sometimes it's the artist's task to find out how much music you can still make with what you have left. I gotta read things 6 times before I really get it, so that's why sometimes I repeat the quotes I say twice. Sometimes it's the artist's task. Not the crowd, not the audience, not the fans, not the lover, not the fantasy role player. It's the artist. It's you, yo. It's your task. It's your task to figure out what kind of music, how much music. It's up to you. It's your task to figure out what kind of music you can make with what you have left. It might not be the same music you were playing. It might not be the same song you were listening to. But it's up to you to figure out what type of music you can make with what you have left. We all got shitty lives, you guys. That's what's real, right? That's why what's good needs to be good enough. It's when we look outside of our lives. We start comparing it. We start looking at everybody else's. We start seeing what's available to other people and it isn't available to us. And we just go haywire. We start going crazy. We start misunderstanding ourselves. And then, when we take that time to look at what is real, when we take that time to look at our emotional scale and what is available to us, sometimes it's a smack in the face. Sometimes it is the most bitter taste we've tasted in a while. Sometimes it's freaking beautiful. It's more beautiful and it's more freeing than the life you were giving yourself. The life you were perceiving. The life that wasn't real and wasn't available to you. The fantasy life somebody else had. You know? It might be scary and it might come as a shock, but what is next? It's up to us to figure out what kind of music we can make with what we have left. Or like I said, we don't have to accept anything. That's great too. But imagine if everybody did that. That's kind of what's happening. But I really think that's hitting something deep. If we stop paying attention to what is not real and what is not available to us, uncover all of the crap that we've been overcomplicating, all of the stuff we've inflated. We could inflate our own egos and our own selves, so then when we sit down and we look at who we really are, how we really have been affecting people, again, that might be a life-changing experience. But we have to have those sit-downs. We have to have those talks with ourselves. I have to have these talks with you, or we're not going to get anywhere. I have to have these talks with myself before I have these talks with you, or we're not going to get anywhere as a team. If we build a strong enough team this year, yo, imagine the type of shit we can conquer. And like I said, it's the choices we haven't been making that impact us the most. We're out here making a whole bunch of choices. A whole bunch of choices. But it's those choices that we're not choosing to make. It's the intuition that we're choosing to not listen to. It's the messages that we're seeing but not cognitively comprehending. It's the realistic world that we're inflating into a freaking balloon of sparkles and glitters, and then when that shit pops, and we see that all of that man-made glitter is just sinking into the mother nature of water, of earth that we have, like I said, it's a shock, but we gotta have that. We gotta have that wake-up call. Yeah, we gotta do something. Maybe we gotta just like stop having a president. All of us just need to colonize. No, whoa. I don't know what. But like I said, to end this video, here's what I think our goal should be. We need to make sure that our breath is not poisonous. We breathe without speaking. We breathe without thinking. We breathe while we're sleeping. We breathe while we're walking next to each other. If you're in a relationship, you breathe on somebody. You exchange breaths with people. If your breath is not toxic and poisonous, if it is not overinflated, over-fantasized, over-complicated, just like a smile, that shit is contagious, but so is poison. So if everybody's out here fire-breathing poison, our minds are gonna end up like the oceans. Everything is polluted, you guys. The only thing we have control over is our minds. We don't have control over this air anymore. We don't have control over how clean this water is. We don't have control over much anymore. So the very last thing we want to do, you guys, is fog up here. Heck, say, like we said, the fantasy position. We're not trying to fog ourselves. We're just trying to better ourselves. We cannot better ourselves with a fantasy. I promise I've tried it. It doesn't work. We cannot fog our mental, you guys. So this is clean. Our breath is clean. The world is clean. It's up to us. We took over this place. These poor animals, they're not the ones with the fogged up mentality, and the reason they're becoming fogged up is because they're breathing this air, eating this stuff, basically the same shit we're on. Only they're not as toxic. They don't need us. We need them. So, let's make sure up here is crystal clear, y'all. Crystal clear.